Let's get the latest on the situation in Ukraine after the UN General Assembly voted overwhelmingly to tell Russia to stop its aggression. Isabella Higgins is in Lviv in Western Ukraine and Carrington Clark is in Washington. Hello to both of you. Isabella, I want to start with you because we have been seeing these pictures of more airstrikes, the wreckage they are leaving behind. It appears to be quite widespread. What's your assessment of the situation?
Well, that sounds about right, Lisa. Today we've seen another devastating day, increasing airstrikes, also more ground combat, more heavy artillery being used in cities all across this country. Now, it feels like the worst of it today was possibly in the important port city of Mariupol or in another southern city of Kherson. There we've seen some horrifying images of residential and civilian buildings that have been targeted. And in both of those cities, it is feared that there could be hundreds of casualties. Also in the besieged eastern city of Kharkiv, a university was targeted. We've seen images of a fireball more or less landing on that building, walls collapsing around it. So yet again, another devastating day. And some analysts suggest that this perhaps represents a shift in strategy from Russian forces, that perhaps they are now working harder to gain ground in those southern and eastern areas, while there's been less movement in the capital, less movement than many people expected. And you might be able to hear that in the background. That is actually an air siren going off here in Lviv. We've had several tonight, so we're probably going to have to leave you quite shortly.
I'm going to let you go straight away, Isabella, because I know that you are juggling your own safety with bringing us the news. So thank you. Stay safe. We'll talk to you another time. Though in Washington, who has been following this emergency meeting of the UN. Carrington, what happened?
Yeah, so while the war rages in Ukraine, here in the United States, the diplomatic contest continues. And on this front, Russia seems to be well and truly losing. So this was a resolution being debated in the General Assembly, the same resolution that was knocked down, vetoed by Russia in the UN Security Council. And we have had multiple speeches over many days leading to this vote today. And it was overwhelmingly in favour of denouncing Russia for its invasion of Ukraine and calling on Russia to withdraw its forces from Ukraine. So a significant loss. 141 countries voted in favour. Only 5 countries voted against, and they were Russia, Belarus, Eritrea, North Korea and Syria.
What did China do,
significantly,
Carrington?
35 countries. Well, China, as it did in the UN Security Council, abstained from this vote, Lisa, along with India, a member of the Quad. So still at this point on the fence on this issue. But overwhelmingly, the world has spoken to denounce Russia's action. And we've also now seen the US taking further sanctions, imposing further costs on the Russian economy. Yesterday, when we had Joe Biden speaking his State of the Union address, he stated that the US would join Europe in banning Russian planes from US airspace. But again, today, ratcheting up the sanctions, particularly on the defence industry. And significantly, I would say, they are now also targeting the energy sector. This has been one of the major debates because the US is so concerned about pushing up the price of energy, price of oil. But they are saying they are going to now limit the technology that's being passed on to Russia for its oil refinery. They say it won't affect current prices of oil and therefore energy and petrol, but it will lead to Russia having a smaller role to play in future energy markets. But that is a significant move, and we are expecting more sanctions to come.
Yeah, so they've had a diplomatic win. To see whether these other moves will make a difference. Carrington Clark, thank you.
The Ukrainian capital, Kiev, is bracing for a full-scale Russian assault. 5 people have been reportedly killed in an attack on a TV tower and Holocaust memorial in the capital. Meanwhile, a 40-mile-long convoy of Russian reinforcements closing in on the city. We're going to head live now to Europe, and joining us is Elena, who has been travelling in and around the European regions. Elena, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, Jamie.
Describe, before we go into commodities and so forth, just to describe to us what you have been seeing over the past few days.
I evacuated my son in the morning when Russian attack began. In 5 a.m. I woke up with a huge explosion. I take just a key from my car and we started our 3-day journey from Ukraine. We saw huge line in the supermarkets. We saw lines on gasoline stations. We saw aircrafts and all the arm machines. And probably for these days, I saw more arm techniques than all internal my life before that. It was the longest journey by car for all my life. I was driving more than 20 hours to get from Kyiv to Lviv. Usually this trip took not longer than 7 hours, but it was a lot of traffic jams because a lot of people were trying to escape from the cities. We saw the first bomb attack as well, and I'm still can't calm my son because he's flashing in the night and can't sleep. So it's really hard to describe what we came for during these days. But now I'd like to talk more about, not about the current situation in Ukraine, because everyone has internet and everyone have opportunity to see by his own. A few minutes ago, I've got a message that Russia attacked one of the main Kyiv railway station. I still don't know how many people die or invade in this attack. But for today, the main of what we have, if we set emotion aside, the main problem which could Russia for all over the world is food crisis. Because together Russia and Ukraine are one of the key wheat producers and wheat export regions. Till the new crop, there are just a few months. But for these few months, Ukraine has to export around 7 million tons of wheat. This wheat go to Indonesia, Bangladesh, to Egypt, to Turkey, to North Africa, and so on. Russian wheat as well should feed people all over the world. And after Russian government starts this war, they faced with sanctions, and some contracts already can't be executed. And for other hand, Ukrainian ports are blocked, and inland logistics is collapsed. So Ukraine as well can't execute contracts. So till the new crop, part of the world could face it with food crisis. We see how daily prices increase according to world global inflation, and now this inflation rate will be higher and higher because we face it with lack of food supply, thanks to Russian invasion, thanks to Russian government. And
so Elena, keep going.
Yeah.
No, keep going. Sorry.
And these 15 million tons for current season, we can get from another sources. For example, Australian farmers, as per good weather condition for this planting season, they have more wheat than it was expected. This wheat could be sold to South Asia market. You can win Indonesian market. India as well have few million tons higher than it was expected. They can feed Bangladesh and, for example, Afghanistan. And if we talk about North African countries, they can supply from European Union, especially from French. But in a few months, farmers in Black Sea, in Russia and Ukraine should go to fields and plant new crop. If they will not do it, we will not have million tons of wheat, and it will be much bigger problem and much deeper than it today. And even Australian people will pay more for each piece of bread because of this war, because of Putin's invasion.
Well, Elena, it's just extraordinary. It's you know, it's unfathomable what's happening, and as you mentioned, on a economy scale, humanitarian, emotional scale, it's just our thoughts are with you, with everybody there. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap it up, but really appreciate you giving us your insights on the commodity situation and the potential for that humanitarian crisis, as you mentioned. But stay safe and well, and we'll touch base with you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay in touch. Bye.